Welcome back to your podcast, our podcast, the Popular Side Podcast. As always, he's Yinka Yusuf,
Hello, people.
and I'm Akin Adeke. Yinka Yusuf,
Yes, boss.
here we are on a Monday evening.
Again.
So we didn't record on Sunday as we usually do.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot going on yesterday, but we're here today.
We are.
But first, how have you been the past week?
I've been good.
Yeah.
Now I told you I'm on quote and unquote leave.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get as much rest as I can.
That's good.
But work is not letting me, kind of. Yeah.
Working while you're on leave.
Yeah. It happens. Trust me.
I know.
Story of my life. Yeah.
I get it.
But yeah, I think the storm has passed now. I can really down tools and really, kick up my feet, enjoy myself. Which is what I'm looking forward to for the rest of my vacation. How about you?
It's amazing to me how, in Nigeria you can just take 4 weeks off. Like I feel like here they will call that like a medical leave, or you will have to be like a medical something. Like they will act like somebody's gonna die if you took 4 weeks off. Like, even 2 weeks is like, that's a lot of time.
That's part of the
different.
blessings of where I work, Aki.
Yeah.
It's not it's not normal. It's not normal, right? And I mean, someone told me, one of my friends were discussing about leave and stuff. He said where he used to work before, which was a bank, he got there and he was like, I want to go on leave. I'm off for like 3-4 weeks. And his boss was like, dude, you can't go for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
And he was like, what do you mean? He said, if you go for 3-4 weeks and we can survive without you, that means we don't need you.
See, that's crazy. That's just
that
crazy.
means we don't need you, right? So you're setting yourself up. If it's a successful 4 weeks and nobody calls you and the whole business is not shaking because you're not here, we will most likely fire you. And it was
that's terrible. Because that's threatening the poor guy. That's awful. Yeah.
But so that's what I'm saying. It's the privilege of where I work. So let me just enjoy it.
I hear you.
Let me enjoy it.
But for me, all good. Just nothing's changed. Same. I was telling you offline. Today's my daughter's birthday, so happy birthday, daughter!
Happy birthday to her.
And then tomorrow is my wife's birthday, so happy birthday to her as well. She's a faithful listener.
Tomorrow is your birthday. You should just ignore that June, whatever day it is in June.
I know. This is the real one.
And just join them. You might want to put your own 18th or 15th so that you can just... Right? At this point, there's no point doing your own celebration in June. You're just wasting your time.
Yeah, I know, right?
You're wasting your time.
But
anyway, happy birthday to
both of them,
Madame,
right? Yeah.
And to the little princess. Many more years in good health. Yep.
Thank you. All right. So I say this every week, but we have a packed agenda. So much has happened. But this time we actually will breeze through the league reviews. We have to.
Yes, we will.
Or we're going to go on for 90 minutes just on that alone.
Yes, we have to.
So my idea, Yinka, is let's start with France. And unless you tell me that something significant happened and I missed it, we're really just going to breeze through it.
What if Dembele had a very good game? He scored 2 goals.
See,
he was the man of the match.
See, this is why we can't move forward. Because
I think that's the only
because you have to make fun of Dembele.
That's the only thing that happened in France. That's the only worthy thing in France is what a PT scored 2 goals. He had a good game. Yeah.
Yeah, they beat Brest 3-1. I think Marseille keeps winning.
Marseille won.
Did finish with Yeah, they were home. They did finish with, a man down, but they still won. Yeah, they still beat Nice. Monaco were on the road, but they won as well. Monaco, who were they playing? Let me check. Auxerre. They were playing Auxerre.
Was it Auxerre?
Auxerre on the road. Yeah, they were playing Auxerre on the road.
Okay. Yeah.
They won 3-0. Who else do we care about? See, this is our opportunity to breeze through. Lille lost. Lille lost.
Do we care about Lille?
I mean, potential Champions League places.
Yeah.
Could happen. It's France. But they lost on the road to Saint-Etienne. And now we're done with France. Congratulations to what a PT Dembele.
Lyon Marseille is next week, which is a derby
that's a big
kind
one.
of, right? That's a big one.
That's a big one.
But no surprises. PSG is top of the table. They've not lost or drawn any game. And Marseille is right behind them. Marseille and Monaco are right behind them. Yep.
Yeah, Marseille. I think Marseille
actually.
Yeah, Marseille has had one draw. So, but otherwise, no. They also
so Marseille and Monaco 1 draw each,
unbeaten.
Right?
Yeah.
Then they won the other 3. Yeah.
From there, I'm gonna quickly go to Serie A because I feel like we always rush through Serie A because we tend to not do it quickly enough. So, this is one of the leagues that you follow very closely, Yinka.
Yes, I do.
So kudos to you that you never gave up on Serie A. This was the league of our youth.
Indeed.
If we want to date ourselves a little bit.
Yep.
But so I feel like you still think Inter will win the league this year.
I think so.
Okay.
But I'm getting worried, right? Conte and Napoli, I like the way they're looking.
They went
on the road like the way they're
and won 4-0. Yeah. So
it's not just that, it's the way they're playing, and it's the way they're playing. Lukaku looks like Lukaku. Kvaratskhelia looks like 2 seasons ago, right? And you said it.
Did I tell you that was going to happen with Lukaku or not?
Did.
Okay. All right.
You did. You said Conte with Lukaku is a different animal, and it's beginning to manifest. So, thumbs up, kudos. You spotted that. They look good. I'm not even going to front. They look good. And the way they look good, every other person is not looking as good. Inter drew, Juventus drew, and guess who's on top of the table? Someone we thought would have been relegated. Udinese is top of the table in Serie A.
Wow. I just saw that they won. They won 3-2.
Udinese is top of the table. So they played today. Yeah, they played earlier today. They were down 2-0 at halftime to Parma. They came and they scored 3, and they won the game. They won 3-2. So I think you and I had them as relegation contenders.
We may have. We may have.
But now they're surprising. I don't think it will last, frankly. But yeah, I think the key thing in Syria, man, Napoli are looking good.
Juve Conte is a really good manager. Conte,
I give it to you.
We talked about this.
Yeah, you talked about it. I didn't really fancy him, but you said Conte, Lukaku, that combo, Conte, Syria, he knows what he's doing and stuff like that.
Resolved. I mean, he took a 10th place Chelsea, 10th place Chelsea, and beat up on everybody. And we've seen now how hard it is to work at Chelsea. I know he wasn't this ownership team. And frankly, Spurs kind of like blotted his, they stained his white a little bit, pun intended, because Spurs playing white. But who has ever done well at Spurs? I mean, let's be real. But the man can coach.
Yeah, he can. Give it to him.
The man really can coach, yeah.
But next week, there are some key games coming up next week. We have the Milan Derby coming up next week. Inter are shaky. Milan started off shaky, but they won their last game 4-0. Tammy Abraham got his first start, and he's looking like the old Tammy Abraham.
Yeah.
So watch out for that game, Milan-Inter. It's going to be a good game. And the second key game is Juve-Napoli. Juve hosts Napoli next week, right? So Conte goes back to his old stomping ground.
One of them.
One of them, because he has quite a number. It's going to be a killer weekend in Serie A. I'm so looking forward to those two games. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Germany real quick. So every week I try to watch at least one match from the Bundesliga because I'm not you. You know, I don't have a setup with 4 different TVs and watching stuff at the same time. You know, my brain can't handle it. It's not as big as yours. So, but I watched the Bayern game. I think they won 6-1 against a lowly team or whatever. And I was thinking about Harry Kane and how much Spurs could have used him this weekend. And how he got the obligatory penalty kick, as he always does, you know, because, you know, it's so funny that they call Ronaldo Penaldo, but they really should call Harry Kane Penaldo. Without checking, I'm going to guess 40% of his goals are penalties and tap-ins.
Yeah.
and then there was a point in the game where this man was so deep. His pass was about 40 yards into the box. And I'm like, what is he doing? You know, like, I get when you were playing on Spurs and they had no playmakers, but I'm like, I saw Musiala's, there was a piece of trickery that Musiala did over the weekend. And I'm just like, I mean, there's just so many Musiala makes Gnabry looks ordinary. And Gnabry is not an ordinary player. Gnabry is a really, really, really good player. And Musiala just makes him look, you know? Just like Lamine Yamal comes in and makes, you know, Ferran Torres look ordinary.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like, you have Musiala on your team. You have Gnabry on your team. Why are you 35 to 40 yards behind the play and, you know, doing all these Hollywood passes like your what's his name? Trent Alexander-Arnold. You know, it's just weird. He's just a weird guy. You know, Ken to me is just a weird guy. But whatever. What else do you want to talk about in the Bundesliga?
But the man still scored a hat trick, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. They scored 6.
So
he got his hat trick. He got a penalty kick.
He's earned the right to stay in his own 18-yard box and channel 95-yard passes if he chooses to.
Oh my gosh!
He's earned his money. He's got a hat trick already. What else do you want?
Fine.
What else do you want?
Fine.
But like you said, I didn't watch. I told you I was out and about on Saturday, so I didn't catch most of the games. But a couple caught my eye. I saw Leverkusen won 4-1. I saw the highlights. The Nigerian boy scored 2 beautiful goals. I wish he could have done the same while Boniface. He was just missing. Boniface was missing chances left, right, and center for Super Eagles. And you go to Leverkusen and you're looking like prime Hurricane, you know. Dortmund also won 4-2. I think those were the other games that kind of caught my eye. But next week you have Stuttgart Dortmund as the major game.
Sunday.
Next Sunday. I think that's one to look out for. Like you say, Stuttgart are like the how do I put that? You used a particular term for them last time you spoke about them. I can't remember what it was. But it was something along the lines of them being very frugal, but yet
yes,
you know, they put out a very, very strong team. Yeah.
I like their coach a lot.
And I like their coach a lot, exactly. So Stuttgart Dortmund next week. That's the key game. That's the key game for them.
All right. So obviously, you know, La Liga, we focus on the usual suspects. I'm gonna start with Barcelona. Lamine Yamal is an animal. It's just on a. I don't know what else to say about the kid. Like, the stuff he's adding to his game now, right? I'm talking of the strength. Obviously, he's a taller player, but he's not supposed to be this strong, this young, you know? So, I mean, what am I talking about? The first goal of the game, you know, he's a nominal right winger, right? You know,
Yeah.
he literally like zips from the right wing over to the left to hound a defender trying to play out of the back. A grown man.
Yeah.
I'm sure this man has kids at home. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know his age, but I'm sure it looks like someone who has kids at home. You know, Lamine Yamal, all 17 years of him, hounds this man down, hacks him down. I mean, in the EPL, that would have been a foul. Okay. Bullies him, collects his lunch, slaps him around, collects the ball, and then beautiful bends the ball into the net, and the goalkeeper almost starts crying. You know, I almost started crying for the goalkeeper. It was so sad. You know, and I'm just like, if this kid keeps adding stuff to his game, it will be unstoppable. Like, this is crazy. Like, you're not supposed to be that situationally aware, that strong, that calm, that composed. Like, he's not faced that is playing right next to Lewandowski, who is roughly twice his age and one of the best strikers to ever live, you know, and he's just playing like, you know, like he's having a kickabout in the park with his friends, you know, just really impressive.
Yeah. What you spotted, what you noticed, right? It was quite intentional, and it's interesting that you mentioned it. So I was listening to his interview earlier on today. And he said that Hansi Flick actually told him and Rafinha to put pressure on the centre backs.
Wow.
You're right. The centre back, his name is it David or Daniel Lopez? I can't remember. He's 30, 34, 35 years old.
He's a grown man.
He's a grown man. You're right. Right? And he said Hansi Flick told him and Rafinha. He didn't say he told him and Lewandowski, because Flick knows Lewandowski does not have that in his tank anymore. Lewandowski does not have the energy to press. But you have two young people that can run for the whole world, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this goes back to what we mentioned last week about Hansi Flick. He's making things simpler for the guys, and they are reacting to it. He's looking at a player and he's saying, this is your strength. Let me utilize your strength. Because normally, Xavi might have told someone like Lewandowski to be pressing. He doesn't have that in him anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need you to press. I just need you to put the balls away when they set up chances for you. So this goes back to Flick. It's basic things. So now in their dressing room, last year they were all dressing up, wearing ties and all. Flick said, forget all that. We're not doing that. Just come in your Baka apparel, your t-shirts and your shorts. And even if you want to wear slides, fine. I don't care about how all these, what do people call it? Fashion check, to check whether, he's wearing a suit, it's unnecessary distraction. I don't want that. That's Flick for you. Because he himself is wearing t-shirt and jeans every time. He's on t-shirt and jeans, you know? So I think Flick deserves a lot of credit. But not to take anything away from that young man. Lamine Yamal, if he continues at this rate, right, we should be on the lookout. We have a world beater on our hands, right?
No, absolutely.
If you remember vividly, we mentioned this. Some people peak early, some people bloom early, and they peak early. We don't know what this recent drop from Mbappe is. We don't know whether this is where he will be, right? But Mbappe is the only person that I can think that was probably as good as Lamine Yamal at the same age.
At 17. Yeah, no,
I don't think Messi was this good at 17. It's just that Messi just kept on going up, up, up. Even when he clocked 27, he was getting better. 28, he was getting better. That's why Messi became Messi. But Messi was not this good at age 17.
Ronaldo wasn't either.
Ronaldo wasn't even at all. At all.
And they were visible. I mean, Ronaldo was at Sporting Lisbon at 17. You know, you knew it was going to be something. right?
Yeah.
But because for me, and look, I love that you brought this up because, the nuances, me, I'm Mr. Nuance, the nuances matter, right? Because I would say the coaching is better and more intentional today, right? And, back in the day, you had, if you were at Ajax or Barcelona, maybe Porto, maybe Benfica, you had a very integrated way of coaching. Like all the teams played the same way. Now everyone
Yeah.
does. So now if you went to Crystal Palace, it's integrated, right? That wasn't the case 20 years ago, right? You had to be at a specific club where they paid attention to those things, right? But now the coaching is more intentional wherever you go. So I think obviously medical science, obviously nutrition, kids are pretty much playing professional style ball and receiving professional style coaching very early on, right? But he's not the only 17-year-old in the Barca setup, but he's the only one doing what he's doing. So it's still kudos to him. It's still absolute kudos to him. But that strength, he already has the height, he already has the quickness, he already has the calmness, the strength. I mean, that's a new thing for me. I don't watch him every day, but that's a new thing for me. It's just amazing to me that I'm watching him and Musiala the same weekend and just wondering, I'm like, Yinka, there's no one like either of those guys in the Premier League. There is no young player that good in the Premier League. This is an uncomfortable truth for people who think England is everything. There is nobody. Saka is not that good. You know what I mean? Saka is good at what he does, but Saka doesn't have the foot speed of Jamal Musiala, and Saka has the strength of what I'm seeing from Yamal, but just the quick trigger, the running into space and just be like, boom, 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 done. And Saka is already 23. He just turned 23. This kid's 6 years younger.
How old is Musiala again?
Musiala, I think, is 20. Maybe 21.
Musiala is older. Is in his early 20s. I believe.
Musiala 21. Musiala 21. So, but Saka just turned 23 now. I think a couple weeks ago.
So Musiala and Saka are they're more comparable than
contemporary. But this kid is 17. Like
he is.
Anyway, but not to over-index on that, but I just very impressive.
I totally agree with you. By the way, even if there are players in EPL at that age that might be that good, they are not this exposed already. The coaches don't have the confidence or the belief in them to say, you know what? Because I look at it, Ethan, in one area at Arsenal, and I'm like, why is this boy not starting?
I was going to say
why is this boy not starting? Why is he not getting more games? I look at it, Lewis Kelly, and I say the same thing.
Yeah.
There are players in Spurs that will have played better against us than those people that played, that are teenagers, right?
Yeah.
So once again, you need to give it to the Barca setup. Yeah. They give their teenagers much more exposure and much more trust and much more belief at an earlier stage than every other person, right? So it's not a coincidence that La Masia is churning out this talent. Once they see that you're good enough, they don't care your age. You're good enough. Yeah. Go try it out. And if you try out and you don't work, they send you on loan. A couple of loans is not good enough, they sell you off. A couple of loans is good enough, you come back to Barca and you perform. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I do.
But you're right. Yamal is at that age. At that age, if he continues to grow, we have a problem.
No,
the whole world, we have a footballing problem.
For me, it's just the tactical awareness alone at 17 is just it's crazy. Yeah. But we can't keep talking about just Barca. Real Madrid also played. Real Madrid went to, who did they go to?
Sociedad.
Thank you. Real Sociedad, and were completely outplayed, Yinka. They were completely out. I mean, it was 2-0 game. They won. Madrid won. 2 penalties. Okay. Vini Jr. took the first one. Mbappe took the second one. One of them was probably a penalty. I'm not sure both of them were, but it is what it is. But what stood out to me in the game was Real Sociedad hit the post 3 times. Real Sociedad hit the post 3 times. It could easily have been a demolition of Madrid. Madrid did not outplay Real Sociedad. And Real, they've lost Merino. I mean, Zubimendi showed why everybody wants him. He actually looks bigger than what I remember. I think it's, is put in, I think it's intentional. Real didn't look good, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Rodrigo looked quick and fast, but we knew that about him already.
You see, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, it's like they're taking 2 steps forward and they're taking 2 steps backwards. The last week they played as a team against Sociedad, they went back to status quo, right?
Yeah.
Let's see who can outshine each other. They're not playing together, but you go to Barca, you see them playing together, and I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, there will be games where the refs will not favor you.
Yeah,
those 2 penalties, in my opinion, they were so soft, right? What did Kobe call this tissue that Kobe referred to again? Remind me. You are the one in the US. I've forgotten. Anyway, they were so soft. The penalties were too soft to be penalties. Yeah, too soft to be penalties. And kudos to them. They scored both. But Sociedad outplayed them significantly. I think you're saying outplayed them. They dominated Madrid.
Yeah, dominated them. Yeah,
dominated Madrid.
Completely.
And it's good that Madrid is not getting the key games. If this Madrid team should hit at an Atletico or play Barca anytime soon, they will be found out. If they don't,
so too.
They will be found out.
Too. They do have Madrid a great goalkeeper, though. You can go. Yeah, you can go. Their goalkeeper seems to be. I think his injury woes are over. He seems back to his old athletic, imposing self. So that could be something. And then Militao looked okay. Militao looks good. They played more than half of last season without Militao, and now he's back. Rudiger, again, I'm always worried about Rudiger because when is the insanity going to come out? And when is, sometimes he's a professional, sometimes he's a madman. But I think having a Militao next to him has that cooling effect of, okay, one, the guy next to you is just as good, if not better than you, right? I think that's fair to say. So you don't have to make that last ditch tackle all the time, or so I think their defense will be better this year, just because they're not going to play most of the season without their number 1 goalkeeper. They're not going to play most of the season without Militao. But they need to figure out that midfield. They definitely need to figure out how all that talent in the front work together.
Yeah. So I agree with you. The defense is actually what's saving them. I think the defense and defensive midfield, I think those are fine. The problem comes from the attacking midfield, to the attackers. Yeah. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
There are no key games in Spain next week. Okay, it's just a bunch of games here.
Before you go to next week, there was one more game of interest to me. Okay. For many
Madrid,
reasons. Right? I like Gallagher, right? Again, I don't think he's a world beater. None of that. I just like professionals who show up and they're professionals. And I love when good things happen to them, even if they're former Chelsea players. He scored a beautiful goal. I was very happy for him. I think his teammates were happy for him, So I hope he really embraces the challenge of playing in Spain. And doesn't bring the attitude of your boy, what's the name of your boy from Spurs that went to Real Madrid again? Gareth Bale. So who refused to learn the language. So I hope he really immerses himself, because I think he's with the perfect coach for his style, and I think it's going to be really good, because anyway, I enjoyed watching him. Alvarez also got a goal. But again, I'm not as invested in Alvarez as I am in Gallagher. I really like Gallagher a lot. And they were playing, I believe they were playing Valencia. Yeah, they were playing
Valencia. They played Valencia.
I think I was wrong about Valencia, Inca. I think the bubble is bust and they're not going to do anything. You were right. Yeah, they're not about to do anything. So, yeah. It's over.
Nah, it's over. It's over. I like the Atletico Madrid team,
Yeah,
right? To be fair to the way they are structured now, they can play in multiple ways. There's a
yeah,
bit more variety, for them to play with. Unlike before, where it was just,
yeah,
so they got a Soloth who's he's bigger than Morata. He's very good in the air. He's more mobile. They got Soloth, right? And if they just want to play, make defenders run around, they can use Alvarez, they can use Correa. And Gallagher is actually a very good pickup for them, to be frank, right?
it's
If you
perfect
look
for
at
them,
that
really.
game, forget the
Yeah,
goal. He had a fantastic game.
yeah,
And Griezmann is always going to be Griezmann, you know.
yeah,
So it's in Spain, it's probably still going to be between those big three,
yeah.
Barca, Madrid, and Atletico. But right now, Barca is on top with 15. They've not lost any. The two Madrid teams are 4 points behind Barca. Villarreal is also 4 points behind Barca. But the way Barca are playing, they've scored 17 goals already. 17.
Yeah.
Aki. 17. God.
In 4 matches.
Madrid has scored just 9. Atletico
Yeah.
9, Real Madrid 9. That's almost half of what Barca scored.
I think Barcelona will win the La Liga this year. But one thing on Atletico before we leave, they did something that I thought was impressive. They built their new team around Griezmann, and at the same time built the new team to survive without Griezmann. I don't know if that makes sense. So this team that they built going forward is perfect for Griezmann. And if Griezmann falls off, if he gets injured, if someone else pays 126 million pounds for him again, like they were crazy to do before, they could take him out and nothing will happen.
Absolutely.
So I will give them credit. I don't think I gave them enough credit when we talked about the transfers. I liked their transfer, but I don't think I looked at it through the lens of what does this do to unlock Griezmann? Because honestly, they can be successful without him, but they can't win the league without him, in my opinion. So as long as it's there, as long as it's there, you have to unlock him. But anyway.
Yeah. And talking about their window, right? In terms of the players they got, I think they had a fantastic window. It's just the pricing at times that I was a bit
95 million for Alvarez. It's a little nuts.
So, and when you see this kind of transfers, Akin, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, that's money laundering.
Is there something else, or are you helping me out somewhere so that I can help you out in the future with something? It seems somehow, but anyway.
And before we leave, Girona, I think if Girona was not owned by City, they will be having a better season right now. The City owners, Girona is their experimental club, and I think it's really unfair because after the season they had last year, if the goal of Girona was to build on it, there should be that squad I saw against Barcelona was not good.
Exactly.
It's
they sold 2 of their better players.
Yeah,
they sold Dovic to Serie A, to Roma also. I can't remember where he went to.
It's gone.
And they took Savinho for just paltry sum to City.
To City.
And who did they replace him with? They replaced him with Brian Gill, who's who was was a bench warmer at Spurs.
I know.
Bench warmer at Spurs. And Girona is playing Champions League. That's all you could get.
It's criminal, Yinka.
Guess who their starting centre back is? Guess who?
Really?
Danny Blind. And that old man that what is his name, harassed, Lamine Yamal. Those are their starting centre backs. For a Man City owned team, quote and unquote, that is playing in a Champions League.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care about them, obviously. Anyway. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Anyway.
All right. Let's leave La Liga. Let's go to the EPL where absolutely nothing happened this weekend. Well, Yinka, let's start with Everton. I feel like every week they do the craziest thing. And I think, this would never happen again. And then the next week they do it even. I hope you were not one of those people who ever thought that man could coach. What's his name again?
Dyke?
Yeah, Sean Dyche. Sean
Dyche?
I hope you were never one of them. Because
is it Dyche or Dyke? I prefer to
Sean
call him
Dyche. Stop it. Sean Dyche. It should not.
I guess that answers your question, right? You think I think he's a good coach?
Thank God. Okay, good. He's terrible, Yinka. He's terrible. So I have to tell this story real quick.
Go ahead.
So, Yinka, I was watching a game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to set it up, they were away. They were away at Villa. Right? They were away at Villa.
Yep.
Yeah, they were away. Yeah. They scored 2 very quick goals. Okay. So they're up 2-0. Keep in mind, this is a week after they gave up a 2-0 lead, remember, to Bournemouth.
To be fair to them, it's 2 weeks. There was international break.
Okay, that's true. And to be fair to them, they don't have a lot of international, so their players are rusty. You know. So, but with Bournemouth, they were up 2-0 with 7 minutes to go or something like that, or 5 minutes to go, whatever it was.
Absolutely.
It was in the 87th and gave up 3. That was horrible. This one, they scored too early. So I'm looking at Yinka. I was texting about this. In my mind, I'm like, Watkins hat trick, because that's the only way this has to go. Watkins hat trick. I didn't get that, but Watkins did score 2 goals. And then Durant comes in and scores the 3rd goal. Net. Villa scores 3 unreplied goals and they win the match. Why is Sean Dyche still in a job? Everton is a storied, historic team. You know, like why? Why is Sean Dyche still in the job?
See, it's all about ambition. I guess they want to be a team fighting relegation.
Ugh.
So they got a coach that can help them with fighting relegation.
Fight relegation. That's terrible.
That's the best answer I can give you. Right?
That's terrible.
And at this point, if I were to be them, this ex-West Ham, ex-United coach that was ex-Everton too, what's his name again?
Ex-West Ham.
That moved from Everton to United.
Everton to Moyes.
David Moyes. Now it's my turn to forget names. Not this week, not yours.
But I do it every week. You can't compete with me. I forget.
They should just
6
go
names
get
every
Moyes. They should.
But,
they should go get Moyes at this point.
Moyes is old.
Moyes is still better than this guy.
Yeah. I mean, Moyes is so old. I mean, how long has it been since he left Everton?
He's 61 years old. He's 61. 61 is not that old.
Okay. Ancelotti is older, I think.
He's older.
Ancelotti is older, yeah.
How old
at Everton.
How old is Sean Dyche, as you call him? He's 53.
50s. Yeah. 50s,
he's 53. Yeah. So 8 years of more experience, 8 years of better. Come on, just go get Moyes back. I'm telling you, just go get Moyes back.
So I would disagree. Okay. I think what you're because you don't care about them, you're setting them up for eternal mediocrity. I want to set them up for success because I actually care. All right. I think you need to go get your next Xabi Alonso. Right? I'm not saying go get Xabi Alonso. You need to go get your next. From me, I feel like there are more decent coaches than there are serious clubs, okay, that have the vision to bring them on, right? So I'm talking, we've seen Xabi Alonso do it. We've seen Mikel Arteta do it. Dortmund gave their whole club, which is several times bigger than Everton, to Nuri Sahin because they know he would do the work. They know he puts in the work. Get a young, hungry coach who puts in the work, who lives in the details, who is not just an executive manager so no Frank Lampard, no executive managers. This will actually be a
but
good.
They tried. They brought.
I know.
See, the reason why they went the Dyche way was because they brought Frank Lampard in. You know this.
I know, but you need.
And he almost sank the ship. Right now, you need to steady the ship first. That's why I said See, it is too. How do I explain this? Southampton wanted to do the same thing. They brought in this German guy that came, and one of our friends thought this guy was the best coach since Haslington or whatever.
I know what you're talking about. With the suits and whatnot.
Exactly. So my point is, you need to steady the ship. You need to steady the ship. Get someone that is tried, tested, that loves your club, that knows the club in and out. You can't get it wrong with David Moyes.
Duncan Ferguson.
There is a reason why he has never been the first coach for Everton.
Okay.
Duncan Ferguson is a better. Okay, fine. Give it to Duncan Ferguson. I don't even mind. But not this guy that does not know how to play. He cannot coach a team offensively. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Anyway. I don't want to seem as if I'm bashing Dyche, right? But he's not. If Everton wants to take the next step forward, right? Because I believe they've taken multiple steps back. Under David Moyes, they were contending to be in Europe.
Absolutely, they were in Europe.
They were exactly, but now you're battling relegation. It's sad.
So, I don't know why we're spending so much time on Everton, but let me tell you, the number one thing they need to do. Okay, one, get a better coach. Number two is you have to fire your goalkeeper. He's terrible. He's terrible. No, he's awful. Like, this man does not inspire confidence. He does not inspire. He foments chaos. You know,
you were talking about the English number one.
Stop it. Why is he English number one? He's awful. When have you ever watched him?
Can't you see sarcasm?
I know the sarcasm. I know the sarcasm. You know, but I'm like, when have you ever watched him and went, oh, yeah, if I'm going up against Neuer, that's who I want in my camp. Like, come on. Like, it's insane. You know, this is a whole footballing country. That cannot be the best that you have.
Okay, so I'm going to go off tangent and apologies, right? But this is good. This is interesting. So that means England right now, they don't have any decent goalkeeper. That's what we're saying.
They do. So who? They do. So for me, their number one is the worst of the bunch. He's terrible, in my own opinion.
So I'm going down the list right now.
I'm going down the list.
Okay.
Nick Pope is okay. Nick Pope just doesn't have the personality. You know what I mean? If he's healthy, he's tall, he's big, he's okay. But he doesn't have the personality.
Last week, okay wasn't the word you used, but I'll let it slide.
I don't like him. But if my options are the current number one are Nick Pope 9.5 out of 10. No, 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
But they have Ramsdale. Ramsdale is a good goalkeeper. Is much better. Go on.
Did you watch the Southampton United game?
Yes, I did. It's Southampton.
Don't you think he was just all over the place?
Yes, but it was mostly because the defense was awful.
Don't you think he looks like the right-legged version of the number one goalkeeper that you don't like?
Let me put it this way. I think I've seen him play with good players.
Yeah.
Okay, and inspire confidence. England has good players. The current England number one, I've seen him play with good players, arguably better than the players on Arsenal. Arguably.
Yeah.
And he didn't give me any more confidence. You see where I'm going with this? Because you're behind a really good defense. You're behind world-class midfielders. You're behind Harry Kane. And you're still fidgeting. Why are you fidgeting? It's by far the weakest link on the England team.
Well said. Yeah. So I thought for a long time that Ramsdale should be England's number one goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But I watched the highlights and I kind of caught the full game. I wasn't watching diligently, but I caught the full game. later on Saturday, and I looked at him. I'm like, was this the same guy that was Arsenal's goalkeeper? Because it looked night and day, and I'm like, where is the composure? Where is the confidence? Where is the calmness? He was all over the place. And I'm
I don't
like,
disagree.
is this me looking at him through Arsenal fan glasses all along that didn't let me see this?
No.
Or this is I don't know.
I think I have the answer.
I don't know.
Yinka. May I?
Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
So there's goalkeeping and then there's shot stopping. It's not the same. Right? It's not the same. So
I agree.
If you want a shot stopper, Ramsdale is as good as maybe anyone playing right now.
I totally agree.
Right? Maybe it's probably better than Raya. Right?
I agree.
The problem, but there's a reason it's been relegated 3 times. Right? Because I don't think Peter Cech gets relegated 3 times. It doesn't matter how bad. Peter Cech was at runs in France and was doing Peter Cech things. Enough for Chelsea to go pay big money for him. I don't think Schmeichel, father or son, gets relegated more than once. I don't think that happens. Right? That's me personally. So it's the game management that Ramsdale doesn't have. Right? Ramsdale wasn't the leader of the Arsenal defense. He wasn't. You know? And he had a maniac on the bench telling everybody exactly what to do every second of the game. You know? And even when they got him to a point where they could manage him, the first opportunity they got to upgrade, they went and got it. And everybody was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I never participated in that chatter. Because I'm like, if you can improve by 2%, if you improve by 2% in 11 positions, you're not going to win the league. What are we talking about?
Anaki, right? Just to buttress your point, the increment between Raya and Ramsdale is not 2%.
It's night and day.
The first 3 games or the first games of this season has let everybody realize that if this is what we will be getting from Raya, we've seen the best of Ramsdale. If this is what we're getting from Raya, then we have maybe not an A-star class goalkeeper, but we have an A goalkeeper. Do you understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
We will talk about the Arsenal game shortly.
But you can't guess what? Guess who is saying the same thing now? Fans of Spain. Because what did I told you I didn't like Unai Simon. Like, there's nothing wrong with him. It's fine. You know, but Spain is about dynamism. Why is your goalkeeper not dynamic? It didn't make sense. Right now he's injured. I think he has a sort of long-term injury. And they put Raya there. And now, you know, all these Marca, whatever this.
Everybody now wants Raya.
Because they don't watch the English game. You know, they have the same problem that English people have, which is they don't watch anything else. So now all of a sudden, like, oh, he's actually better for our system than Unai Simon was. I'm like, that's what I've been saying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I agree.
Anyway, you mentioned Southampton. Man U went to Southampton and won 3-0. It's kind of crazy because I believe, was that the game where Southampton lost the penalty? It was.
Yeah.
They lost the penalty. And you know, they did it to themselves. They will get relegated. They absolutely, and they should get relegated. They're awful. They're awful. I can't even say the things I said about Ipswich, about Southampton. They have no grit, you know. Just for me, disgusting game to watch. They have nothing.
I'm sorry. Unless something drastic happens, they're going down.
They're going down. All right. Brentford scored within a minute against City at City.
That was their undoing.
They could have made it 2. They should have made it 2, maybe even 3. And then, of course, you know, Haaland comes back and City won 2-1. So the less said about that, the better. The 115 charges. The hearing started today. Go on.
Mm-hmm. No, I was going to say kudos to the goalkeeper, Ederson, right? That was an assist by a goalkeeper. And it wasn't a fluke. It was intentional. It was very, very intentional. It was an intentional pass. You know, those are kind of those are the kind of things you talk about when you're talking about goalkeepers, that you bring more to the table. Game management, being aware. It's not just kicking the ball anyhow. You're kicking it deliberately. So I just thought I should bring that up.
No, I agree. And for me, it's always fascinating to me to compare Allison and Ederson, right? And I think it's actually the perfect example of what we were talking about. So Ederson is not a talker. He does not speak. Like he's a mute, So ordinarily, I wouldn't want that guy behind my defense, because it doesn't really organize the defense. He's more of a shot stopper, and he's great with his feet, and he can do that pinging the ball wherever you want it to go thing. So he can do all that, but it's just a superior shot stopper. But he does not speak. He does not interact with his defenders. I don't like that. But he's so much better at those other things than pretty much anyone else that it doesn't matter. Allison is a statesman. You know what I mean? Like, he's great at interviews. He's captain material, and he's good enough in everything else. That's really why he's Brazil's number one. Just in terms of pure shot stopping, is nowhere near Ederson. Nowhere near him. But he's a statesman. He's a statesman. Yeah. So anyway.
Well said.
Right, thank you. I don't really care about Leicester City, but they went to Crystal Palace 2-2, whatever. We've talked about Aston Villa and Everton. Liverpool lost the first loss in the Premier League under Arne Slot. It's just one of those days where they were never going to score. So it was a matter of, would Nottingham take one of those chances? And Liverpool were home, by the way. They were never going to score. Mo Salah wasn't at his best. It is what it is. One of those.
So
you have any thoughts?
Quick question for you. So I didn't watch the game. So do you think that Liverpool kind of underestimated Forest and they got burnt?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They underestimated. They had a bad day. They chose a bad day to have a bad day, in my opinion, right? It could happen. And I say that as a fan of Arsenal. And I say that as a fan of Arsenal, to whom Nottingham Forest has already happened before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Nottingham Forest does this a lot. And to be honest, when they brought in Callum Hudson-Odoi, I thought it might nick it. This wouldn't be the first time that I talk about him on here.
Yeah.
He has that. I can't trust him to prosecute a game for 90 minutes, but I can trust him to have moments. He has moments all the time. He had another one. He had another one.
Interesting.
I'm looking at the stats now, Yinka. Possession was 70% to 30, Liverpool. Shots was 14-5. Shots on target, 5-3. Pass accuracy, 83% to 69%. Fouls, Liverpool, 15 fouls. Nottingham Forest, 6. I mean,
so
corners, 7-2.
I was catching up with one of these AFTV guys. They have another channel that day. So someone was talking and the guy said, that the excuse that Slot gave was that the internationals, that their team, it took them a while. And the guy was like, do you think Forest players didn't go on international break? Right? They did. They had like 13 players on international break. So don't use that international break as an excuse. What happened on the day is what you said. They underrated them. They had a very bad day to have a bad day. And they got burnt. It's just like they have the Liverpool fixtures to start this season are quite favorable. Yeah.
Very
true. They are home again next week to Bournemouth. Yeah. And I'm like, but they have a Champions League game in between. They are away to Milan also.
Yeah, there.
Yeah. But this is a game they will regret losing at the end of the season.
I agree. But again, Arne Slot will learn, City are just relentless. Like I've said this before, with City, we don't talk about their undefeated run. We talk about their winning streak. That's crazy, Yinka. That's crazy. They don't just go undefeated. They don't even draw games. They reel off 11, 12 wins in a row. So but I don't know if his remit is to win the league. If that was what the Liverpool owners told him and what the front office told him, he will have to quickly learn that you have to find a way to do well when you're not doing well, because City will.
I don't think what they'll be asking of him is to win the league.
I think you may be right.
It will be to contend. We don't want to drop off between Klopp and whatever you will be, right?
Yeah.
We need to be at that level. If we win, fine. If we don't, we have to be in the running. I think that would be the ask of the board of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he needs to figure out his Nunes problem. But anyway, again, we talk too much about Everton. We don't need to talk about their neighbors that much.
It's just unfortunate that Liverpool chose not to give Madame a good birthday present. So
I know, right? What are you gonna do? She's pretending the game never happened.
Okay. Or she wants to use the Milan one as the birthday present. I hope they don't. I hope Milan don't spank them also. Anyway, let's move on.
All right. So Brighton and Ipswich goalless. Bournemouth that you just talked about. I quickly want to talk about that because Chelsea went to Bournemouth, and my boy came on in the second half, and he played really well. He was man of the match. I was impressed with his play, but I was more impressed with his interview right after, because he talked about how grateful he was to be at Chelsea. He talked about being happy to be back on the field after everything he's been through. And again, what do we say in Nigeria? Whenever you wake up, that's your morning, right?
Absolutely.
So some people wake up at 6 a.m., some wake up at noon.
That's your morning.
I've mentioned mental health stuff, a few times on our podcast. I'm very sensitive to these things, To be fair, these kids aren't built like we are. We're not built like our fathers were. That's the reality. If you took you and I now and put us in 1947, we would not survive. That's the reality of it. I'm not as tough as my father. He's not as tough as his father, So I try not to judge these kids with the same measure, of how I judge us and the way we came up. But I loved seeing him be grateful, be committed, run past people again. I'm like, this is good. You're getting past people again. I love it. So, I feel a certain kind of way that he's finding this redemption at Chelsea of all places. But I love Jadon Sancho more than I hate Chelsea. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you. He had a good game. Good guy.
Yeah.
His interview, like you said, shows that he's more matured. And in fact, I thought he was going to throw shades at United, but he didn't really, which I was quite impressed with. Knowing the old Jadon Sancho, I was expecting some dig at I'm being honest here. I was expecting some dig at United, so I was shocked I didn't get any, which is good for him. I'm happy for him. I don't like Jadon Sancho as much as you do.
I don't.
Whatever that level of likeness is way higher than how much I hate Chelsea. So
very, very few people like Jadon Sancho as much as I do. Let's be fair. Okay. Wolves, Newcastle, nothing much happened. Newcastle went to Wolves and won. I think Wolves might flirt with relegation a little bit, but I'm not really bothered about them.
They'll be fine. Yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I said flirt. Be fine. Yeah, okay. They'll be fine.
So I'm wearing ESR Arsenal jersey from last year. ESR made a goal for Fulham. Beautiful assist. And then West Ham came back and drew the game.
And they scored,
Yeah, but every time I watch ESR, I'm just filled with sadness. So that's all. I just wanted to say that. I didn't have a point.
But you should be happy for him. He's getting game time. He's getting
I'm not happy for me. I'm not happy for him. For me, rather. Like I told you, like when he was coming up, he was on par with Saka for me. And you know how much I love Saka. So it's impossible for me to be objective about ESR. It's just sad. I'm just sad. That's all.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. There was the little issue of a North London derby that happened on Sunday. No biggie. Just one team goes into the other's home and for the third time in a row spanks them. And, do we really have to talk about it? I mean, if it's routine and it happens 3 years in a row, is it really news? I mean, I'm just saying.
I don't want to disappoint you or make you feel sad by not letting us talk about it, because I know you have a lot to say.
Of course, I have a lot to say. Are you crazy? Oh, Nika.
Yes, sir.
All these idiots who think they know the game were telling us. So let's just set the stage. Arsenal they were already without Declan Rice. His nominal replacement couldn't even get a game before he broke his shoulder, Mikel Merino. And then Odegaard, who was kicked to death against Brighton and should have stayed home during the internationals for reasons known only to him, because Arsenal can't hold him back. He has to hold himself back. Dude, you are captain of club and country. Use your head. Okay? The Nations League is not a real thing. I don't care how much they try to make it a thing. It is not a thing. Yinka, I don't know what the Nations League is. I refuse to find out. I don't care. It's not a thing. Okay? If you want to make the Euros every 2 years, like AFCON, go do that. What the hell is the Nations League? Why are you there? It comes back. It's going to be out for weeks. That's on you, son. You should not have gone. If you went because you're the captain, you should not have played. And now he has a bad ankle. So Arsenal is going into Calafiori. We talked about it last week. Unfortunate injury. That's 4 people. Zinchenko out. That's 5. Tomiyasu still out. That's 6. What's his face? Jesus was a doubt. He ended up being able to go, but he wasn't able to start. So now we're thinking, who is going to play? And then on the flip side, Dominic Solanke was back. Right? 65 million pounds. Dominic Solanke. 65 million. He's had one good season. 65 million. This is what we're doing. When have you ever watched him and went, you know who Dominic Solanke reminds me of? Harry Kane. Who has ever said that before, Yinka?
Your guys are Spurs, obviously. That's why they paid 65 for him.
Who has ever said that before?
Imagine saying, I want to replace Kane with Solanke. Only Spurs will do that.
And someone wrote that check and they didn't slap you before giving it to you. It's amazing to me. What are they doing? Anyway, but I'm not done. Several other people injured. I believe Arsenal had 4 teenagers on their bench.
I think it was actually more than 4.
Okay, maybe 5. A lot of teenagers. So what that told me was we really don't have any subs.
Yeah.
Right? Because Mikel Arteta is not bringing on more than one of them. So Arsenal rocks up to the toilet bowl in North London and beat these guys up. And I'm very happy. And now I'm done.
A couple of things from me. So once again, I missed the game. So I only caught the highlights. Spurs, from a defending standpoint, I think that goal was an embarrassment. Yeah. I'm sorry. That goal was an embarrassment. The way what's his name? Gabriel flicked off Romero and was alone to nod in the ball. Forget North London derby. There's an Argentina-Brazil situation that is there also. So I would believe there should be more passion or more, do you understand? It was just like nothing. It was nothing. And, and they scored. But a couple of things I want to talk about from an Arsenal standpoint.
Okay.
Julian Timber is going to be we thought Ben White was a fantastic right back. Urian Timber, God, because I saw the full game afterwards. Urian Timber had, for me, he was the man of the match. It wasn't Gabriel.
It should have been. Yeah. It should have been.
With the yellow card, with the way he controlled the game. And with this guy can actually play right back and left back. And he can play centre back. He can play defensive midfield. Yeah. He can play centre mid, right? And so now you have a situation where you can actually rest Ben White because he can then play him a right back. Calafiori play Calafiori at left back. Then let him step into the midfield the way Zinchenko used to. And Calafiori would then stay back and you have 3 centre backs. Urian Timber, standout performer for me. Number 2, Kai Havertz. I saw the games he played for Germany.
Okay.
And then the game he played against Spurs. And I'm like, I think I now get the 65 million.
Yinka, are you breaking news on our little podcast?
I'm serious, Aki.
I'm shocked.
He was menacing. He was like, we're not going to lose this game. We need to do something in this game. He was dragging the rest of the guys like, come on, guys, let's press and everything. In terms of the numbers, I saw a particular stats, whatever. It was number 1 kilometers covered, number 1 pressing, number one in almost everything for the Arsenal team.
Yeah. It was number 2 in clearances to Gabriel. Gabriel, center defender. It was number 2 in clearances.
Number 3, you need to give David Raya his flowers. The calmness that he brings. Even the shot stopping that we thought he wasn't that good at. He is beginning to look like an A-star goalkeeper. Yeah. And apologies to Mikel Arteta. Everybody wanted to crucify him when he said, you know what, Raya is going to be my number 1 henceforth. Now, I see a lot of people apologizing. They're like, wow, okay, maybe you knew all along what you were doing. Now, to wrap this all up, right? Yeah. I think what you said about the game, I totally agree. Arsenal just let Spurs play.
Yeah.
You know, they just go ahead, play, do whatever you want to do.
Spurs were not dangerous.
They were not dangerous at all. The 4th point, I had 5 points. The 4th point.
Okay, go for it.
Ethan Nwaneri had a 5 minutes cameo. Based on that 5 minutes cameo, Aki, there was a place where he sat down Papasao, what was his name? He sat him down.
His first move. That was his first move. First touch on the ball.
He sat him down. Based on that 5 minutes cameo, I get why Arteta loaned Fabio Vieira out. That boy is good enough to play. Going back to our Lamine Yamal point at the beginning of today's episode, is not forget old enough. If you're good enough, you have to play.
You're old enough. Yeah. If you're good enough, you're old enough. Yeah.
This boy deserves more game time. I'm hoping in the away game to Atlanta, the Champions League game, I pray he starts.
Yeah.
In that Odegaard role. And you can play Rice next to Partey so that there's that assurance. I mean, just to give him that confidence. But I sincerely hope they play him. I don't want this boy to go on loan. He's not a loan player. He is an Arsenal first team player.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Number 4. That's number 4. Last point. Aki. This is about Arsenal in general. Yeah? Okay. In 2024,
I know where you're going.
Arsenal have played 11 games away from home.
Yep.
They've only conceded 3 goals.
They scored 31.
They've scored 31. They have 9 clean sheets. And they've not trailed for 1 minute.
That's crazy. That is crazy, Yinka.
So when people come up and they say, if Arteta does not win the league, he should be fired.
That's insane.
People should be drug tested when they say stuff like that. I'm sorry. It's just that we're unfortunate. We are competing with a Goliath that is City. 115 City, that's their name now. It's no longer Manchester City. It's 115 City. That's who we're competing with. Because this is insane. The fact that people don't appreciate it is mind-boggling. This is extremely insane, Aki. 3 goals conceded in 11 away games. You haven't trailed for 1 single minute in 11 away games. Aki, remember last time we talked about this, those 3 goals were actually we causing our own defensive issues. We gave the ball away, and the two of them, we gave the ball away, and the last one was a penalty. We started this season, the fixtures are so tough for Arsenal, frankly. Going away to Spurs, going away to Villa, home to Brighton, right, and away to City. If Arsenal should go to City and get 3 points, which is what they have to do, right? You have to go to City.
Now you believe they have to. I've been saying it for 3 seasons.
And you need to go beat City. Not for the 3 points. Yes, the 3 points is important. Yeah, I agree. But for that psychological, you need to get out of your system that these people, they are beatable and we can beat them. It has to happen. It has to happen. I rest my case.
I love all the 5 points, all brilliant. I was gonna bring up the away record. It's really insane. So, how do I put this? I was thinking about this a couple hours ago before we started recording, and I'm like, what is wrong with Arsenal fans? Then I realized I'm not your typical Arsenal fan, even though our mutual friends, always rain abuse on me as a typical Arsenal fan. I'm actually not. I haven't said anything negative about Arteta in like at least a couple years now. And not because I'm a fanboy. I'm not a fanboy. I love Arteta, the player. Sometimes I don't always love Arteta, the coach. But the one thing I never do, I think I can back this up with what I say about other coaches that are not the coaches of my club. If you do the work, I will support you.
Yeah.
Right? What you need in coaching, you can't do anything if you don't have the horses. Okay. But you also cannot be an executive coach. There's no such thing. You have to roll up your sleeves and put in the work.
Yeah.
Right? You have to. And he does that. That's why you and I had the Havertz conversation in the off season. Actually, let me go back 1 season. Remember when I saw them live in the US against Everton at the beginning of 2 seasons ago, right?
Yeah.
This is right after we finished 23 points behind City, right? And missed out on Champions League in 5th. It was a disaster. But I saw them at the beginning of the season and I said 2 things. We're going to compete for the league and Everton will be relegated. Everton did not get relegated, but they came very close. Okay. And Lampard lost his job because I'm seeing them in July. One team looked like they were ready for the Champions League final. The other looked like they just met each other yesterday. And I'm like, Arteta and Lampard are contemporaries. How can they be so far apart? And effort is free. You don't have to be good to put in effort. They are skilled defenders, but in most sports, defense is just concentration and effort and listening to your coach. Yes, there is skill to it. I mean, Franco Baresi is Franco Baresi. For you and I, our favorite, defender, Paolo Maldini, that is skill, right? But for most defenders, it's just having your head screwed on right, putting in the effort, putting your body on the line. And that was the day I realized Frank Lampard would never be able to coach anyone up to play defense. He doesn't have it in him. But it's the most shocking thing to me, because Frank Lampard is a striver. He was a striver. He got more out of himself than he was supposed to. as a player. Why can't you translate this? You know, what Arteta is doing as a manager actually makes sense if you knew him as a player. So I say all that to say, when Havertz happened, you and I had explosive arguments about this, you know, and I'm like, I trust Arteta. I get what he's trying. I don't know if it's going to work out, right? But I get what he's trying to do. So I saw that, you know, mixed. It was mixed, right? I'm not going to say it was actually terrible at the beginning, but I kept faith with it because I'm like, I get it. And then when the riot thing happened, and I'm like, I'm the biggest Ramsdale fan ever. One, when he signed Ramsdale and everybody was making fun of us because he had been relegated, I'm like, I get it. I get it. Again, I get it. And then when he signed Raya, I'm like, I get it again. You know? Because the way you're trying to eat an elephant, you can't eat it all at once. You know? City is the elephant. You know? You need a lot of hands to help you eat it. And you gotta do it small.
And you need time.
And you need time. You know? And you have to keep improving the ones you have and then bringing in better ones. And sometimes Jesus will be your salvation, no pun, right? As he was 2 off seasons ago. He was the reason I said we're going to compete because Gabriel Jesus came in Yinka and changed the levels.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'm not a fan of Zinchenko, but he came in and changed the levels. That's the reality of it. I'm not a fan, but he came in and changed the levels. And then when everybody else rose to those levels, Yinka, what did I tell you then? 2 years ago, I'm like, remember, Odegaard will get better. Saka will get, people never account for that. These are great players that won't stay where they are, you know, at 21 and 20, whatever they were at the time, right? So it's been a while since I've questioned Arteta. You know, when he did Aubameyang, I didn't question him.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know what? I trust him. Again, it's not fanboying. It's not hero worship. It's I trust the work that he puts in. He said something when someone asked him about the injuries. And he was like, man, I knew what I was going to do for the Spurs game, right? I put in the game plan. We were implementing it, whatever. And then I'm hearing reports coming back. This person is injured. That person is injured. But instead of whining, what did he say? We embrace the challenge.
Yeah.
We embrace the challenge. Anyway. So all I'm saying is I remember what it was like to be an Arsenal fan rooting for defenders that could not defend. A manager that had
Prodan Mustafi.
I didn't want to name names, but since we're naming names,
I can name names.
You know,
Papastopoulos.
You know, Socrates. You know, Yinka, there was a season where against our top 4 rivals, we were beaten 17-4 in aggregate.
Yeah.
And out of the 4,
1 point out of the potential 20, how many?
Yinka, out of the 4, we scored 3 against City. We were beaten 6-3 against City. And then we lost 6-1 to somebody. And then this is on the road, away. You know, Chelsea was 6-0 on the day that Wenger coached his 1000th game. We didn't even have the pride to show up for your manager on his 1000th game in charge. You get blasted by his eternal rival, 6-0. So I'm not gonna forget that. You know, so to now be the team with the best away record on a historical pace. You think I'm gonna show up and say what about the manager? He changed the DNA.
Okay, is amazing when I see these questions and I see ESPN, I see CBS, I see people that should know better about football keep saying, yes, this question should be asked if he doesn't win anything this season. I'm like, are you people okay?
Of course not.
Richard Keys, or what's his name? That's
on radio.
I watched him. He was talking to Dwight York and what's his name? This former Everton guy. Those guys were just looking at each other. I was like, "Is that question for
like,
me?
are you crazy?
Well, are you crazy? Why are you asking this?" They're like, "So why didn't you say this about Klopp? Klopp only won once in the 8 years that he was here, but still, yeah. Do you look at Klopp as a failure? No, because you know the people he's competing with, that he competed with all through this tenure at Liverpool. So don't disrespect, don't bring that up because it's somebody that you don't like, right? And you start you're looking at everything that it does with a magnifying glass to start picking out,
Yeah.
oh, he over celebrates when they score. But I'm like, really? Anyway, Akim, let's go back to the game. Good game. Looking forward to the City Arsenal game. It's gonna be it's gonna be interesting. Haaland is going to face Saliba and Gabriel. I look forward to that game.
He hasn't been great against them the last 2 times.
Yes.
After beating up on Partey, really, 3 times ago. Partey and Rob Holding. Since we've had the full complement of those two, it hasn't been good.
Nope.
The reason, you were yelling at me last week when you asked me what Arteta should do about Rice, and I said they have to win the North London Derby. You're like, take off your Arsenal hat. That wasn't a question I asked you. I'm like, but that's what has to happen. You can't not win that game. So City are the North Star. Has Foden played this season?
No, he hasn't.
Okay. Rodri came in for a few minutes in game number 4.
I think he started the last game, didn't he? The game against...
I don't think it started.
Oh, he didn't come in?
Oh, okay. He came in. I don't think it started.
I didn't watch, so I didn't watch it, so yeah. Okay. So,
player of the season and Yinka's player of the season. And Yinka's Ballon d'Or winner have not played. KDB has not been great. He's played. He's not been great. Are City making excuses?
Nope.
Haaland was this close to getting 3 straight hat-tricks.
Yep.
Which is insane when you think about it. Some of the greatest strikers to ever live don't have 3 hat-tricks in senior ball. This man is about to get 3 in 4 games to start the season. City don't make excuses, Yinka.
Yeah.
Last year, Arsenal couldn't beat them to the title. Arsenal did beat them, but Arsenal couldn't beat them to the title with Haaland missing plenty of games, with KDB missing plenty of games. Because they are that good, with people going in and out of their defense, in and out.
Yeah.
So that was my position before the North London Derby. No excuses. London Derby. Yeah. Nobody cares. Play anyway. Be excellent anyway. I mean, I was reading something that Jorginho hadn't played a game for Arsenal since April. Since April. Does it matter?
Nope.
He showed up. And you know what he did that no one else would have done? And this is the effect of real experience. It was working that referee hard. From
Big time.
Pick up the game. He walked him.
Big time.
So the referee ended up giving 8 or 9 yellow cards. I can't remember what. It was just but there was a sequence where there was a foul. He played advantage, and then there was a foul. He came back and gave 2 yellow cards.
Yep.
Each of them. That doesn't happen in England. And what was Jorginho doing? It was like, that's 2 fouls. That's 2 fouls. Odegaard would not have. It's too nice.
Yeah, it's too nice.
So you can see the physical limitation, but he showed up as captain and he worked the referee to the bone. And that had an effect on the game.
Yeah, I agree. So if we go back to City Arsenal next week, so you're taking Arsenal 3 points, right? So
this is the least confident I've been against City in 2 years. So even 2 seasons ago, when we couldn't unlock them, I predicted both times that we would win. I was confident. We lost, but I was confident. We drew 1, we lost 1. Last year, I predicted we would win both. We won 1 and drew 1.
We drew 1, yeah.
This is the least confident I've been in 2 years. I think we have to win. I'm not sure we can. I want us to win. I'm not sure we can. I think, but here's the thing. I think if we show up and play the way we played at the toilet bowl, we will lose because they will be dangerous. You know what I mean? Because we showed up in a defensive 4-4-2 and there was nothing Spurs could do. You know, our worst defender was Ben White. He wasn't having a great game. And he was going up against their best player, Son, and Son was not dangerous. So Ben White cannot have an okay day. Ben White has to have an excellent day. He has to match Timber because I just have so much respect for City. For me, I've never seen a league being prosecuted this way before. Just relentless. 100 points, 97 points, 99 points. It's crazy, Yinka. And they're chopping and changing players and nothing else is changing. So for me, I mean,
it's quality and depth, bro.
It's crazy.
Quality and depth. So, they have it.
But I have to answer your question. We'll be starting the season away to Villa, away to Spurs, and away to City.
Yeah.
We have to win at City. If we win at City, we will win the league. I think it's that simple.
Okay. I think it's too far to talk about winning or not winning the league.
But that's what it comes down to.
But I think I agree with you. Arsenal cannot afford to lose this game. Even if you don't win it, right? Don't draw at least.
Yeah.
You need to stay within striking distance of City. You can't be 5 points behind City. You can't be. I know it's early days. You can't be 5 points behind City. Right?
I agree.
So mine is don't lose. If you win, fantastic.
Yeah.
Don't lose. Simple. Don't lose. And then I think this is a perfect segue into the Champions League games that are coming up. Because
I'll let
games
you run through all of them. Yeah.
No, I'm not even going to run through all of them. Just run through a couple that are key games. Because a lot of them are just random odd games. Those games kind of sandwich key games coming up for. So first is Milan-Liverpool, which I think that will be an interesting game. Then you have City-Inter. It will be interesting to see City's lineup. I mean, keeping in mind that they have, but I'm sure Arsenal in a week.
And it's Thursday, Sunday, not Wednesday, Sunday, right?
No, so City-Inter is on Wednesday, I think.
But I think Arsenal is on Thursday. Yeah.
Atlanta-Arsenal is on Thursday. City, I can check. City is Wednesday.
Okay.
And City are home, right? So
and Arsenal is on the road.
Arsenal is on the road, then on the road again it's just ridiculous. Coming out of an international break and having 3 away games, that is your rivals, Champions League, and your rivals again. Right? Is not fair. Yeah.
Years past, our coaches would have set up all the excuses.
Yep.
They would have been talking to the press. Wenger would have been moaning about it. You will never hear that moaning from Arteta. He won't allow it. So it doesn't. Nobody cares. Do better. Play better. When people were saying bench Saka, because rest him, not bench, rest him. It's like no. Messi plays 65 times a year. You want to be Messi? You have to play 65 times a year. Play through the pain.
And you need to play smart. It's not every tackle you put your leg in.
No.
It's not. Do you understand? You need to play smart. Yeah. So I agree with you. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
So City-Inter is going to be a very, very good game. Atlanta-Arsenal, another good game. Milan-Liverpool. The other games are just nah. You have Madrid-Stuttgart. That's another potentially good one.
Stuttgart can win. I could see it.
They could, actually. Yeah,
Madrid is not looking good. I could see it.
They're not looking too good. PSG Girona, nah, maybe it's an okay game, but nothing major there.
Girona. Girona has nothing for PSG.
The other one
Girona of last year, maybe.
Maybe, but not this one. Then we have Atletico Madrid, RB Leipzig. That's going to be an interesting one.
I actually like that. I like that matchup.
Then Monaco, Barcelona. Barcelona will beat the life out of them.
But
Barca
stylistically, it will be enjoyable.
It will be enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very open game. Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are the 4 games to watch out for: Milan, Liverpool, City, Inter, Atlanta, Arsenal, and Atletico Madrid, RB Leipzig. The games are spread from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's not just Tuesday, Wednesday only. So we have football all through the week. Guess who's happy?
Yeah. Good times. I know, right?
Good times. Okay, let's move on.
All right. So, Yinka, let's
yes, sir.
Let's go to our worthy mentions. We don't have any questions this week. Please send in your questions, or Yinka and I will be forced to start asking each other questions, which may or may not be fun for other people.
It may or may not be.
All right, so we'll make this a rapid fire one. We have one, potentially a second, depending on how we do with time. Who should win the African Footballer of the Year award for 2024?
You know the way I do this? I look at what are the key competitions that happened during the year. And the first thing that comes to mind is we had the Nations Cup. Nations Cup that the host nation Cote d'Ivoire, in January, that the host nation Cote d'Ivoire won. So that tells me that the way the African football people think, first things first is they'll go through the Ivorian team and kind of pick out who is the star player here or who's done something significant, right?
Yeah.
Sebastian Haller had a good tournament, and he won. Oh, okay. Let me just leave it at that. He had a good tournament. They had a defender also, Odilon Kusunu, had a good tournament. But if you ask the standout player for Ivory Coast, I think was Haller because he scored the key goals and stuff like that. Yeah. So Haller, Kusunu, who else is in that team that you want to mention that deserves to be spoken about?
Adingra, maybe?
Maybe young player.
Maybe.
Adingra. Yeah. And Kessie, but
Kessie was disappointing.
It was disappointing. I think it
was one of the reasons that they needed a miracle to dig out and a change of coach because it was that disappointing. You know? So, Yinka, people don't want to talk about this because Cote d'Ivoire in Africa, they're not Greece in Europe, but their win was more like Greece 2004 than anything else. They had no business winning that tournament. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, they were not good. I'm sorry. They beat Nigeria, but they were not good, Yinka. That's why they're struggling to find a worthy candidate for the award because they were terrible. They were not good.
Yeah. But I know I agree with you, but I'm going somewhere. Right? Because you and I had this discussion a long time ago. Yeah. And I'm like, I know the way these guys think.
Yeah.
And I know who you and I think should win it.
Yeah.
But these people think funny. Yeah. They do. You know this.
Yeah. I know.
So going back to that tournament again, the golden ball or the player of the tournament was actually Super Eagles captain, I think, Trust Ekong.
Deservedly so.
Deservedly so. But a close second for me will have been Lookman. Yeah. Lookman had a very good tournament. The final, he didn't play too well, but the whole tournament itself, he was Nigeria's best attacking option by far.
And Olaina was also very good. Yeah.
Olaina too was also very good. Yeah. Now, going back to, so I'm picking the names that I'm saying Trustekong, I'm saying Olaina, I'm saying Lookman. So if you now go to club level, the African footballer that had the best club, whatever you want to call it, for me was Lookman Ademola. You can't beat a hat trick in an European final. You can't beat that.
No, you can't.
You can't.
Yeah, that stopped Leverkusen from going, invincible. Overall invincible. Yeah.
Overall invincible. Yeah. So if you pick that club level and you look at the fact that Nigeria got to the final, he was one of Nigeria's better players. Yeah. I think the undisputed African Footballer of the Year should be Lookman Ademola. But while we're having
I
this
would have to agree
discussion, I don't
because
trust. I don't
because
trust those
Nigeria is not
guys.
French speaking, because nobody
I
likes
wasn't going to go there,
Nigeria.
but
Yeah, but it's the
you're
truth,
saying, yeah,
you
yeah. Now
know,
you're hitting home.
because Issa Hayatu no longer runs CAF, but the machine it built is still there. And they'll find someone who is French speaking and give it to them, as they
So for
always do.
me, the only other two people, if we look at all these criteria, so let's go to Kusunu. Kusunu won the Nations Cup. Kusunu won the treble with Leverkusen. He is not Leverkusen's best player. He's not
Nope.
Ivory Coast's best player, but
Nope.
he was part and parcel. He played, he's a starter for Leverkusen, was a starter for Ivory Coast at the Nations Cup. Right?
Okay.
I'm telling you the way these people think, Akin.
I
Just
understand.
ride with me. Yeah.
Okay.
Seb Haller scored the winner. Ivory Coast won the Nations Cup. Dortmund got to the final of the Champions League, but he had little or nothing to do with that. He wasn't playing. Fulkrug was their starting striker. Seb Haller, but I'm happy for Seb Haller given what he's had to deal with.
Testicular cancer.
Testicular cancer. Yeah.
So and he came back from that.
Yeah. But if you weigh all the options, I mean, it should be unanimous. It should be Lukman Ademola. It shouldn't even be close, frankly.
It will be close, and it might not be him.
And it might not be him. And if you go subsequently to what has happened, he's been Nigeria's best player since in qualifying.
Yeah.
I told you he's not been playing for Atlanta. He played the last game they played, and he had a goal and an assist. You should see that assist. It was ridiculous.
So
he should be African Footballer of the Year.
There's a few things here, right? His journeyman kind of status will count against him. His humility will count against him. He's not bombastic. It doesn't say much. I don't know about when he was younger, but these days it doesn't say much. Even on the Super Eagles, right? Sometimes you forget about him, right? Until it pops up and starts dribbling, the mess out of people. His size may be counting against him, if we're being honest, because he's a small guy shunted off to the left somewhere, and it's just humble. It's just a really humble, keep your head down, do the work kind of guy. And unfortunately, that doesn't get rewarded, Yinka. And he's Nigerian.
Yeah.
People don't like Nigerians. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
It started many, many moons ago. You think there were no good players in Nigeria before 1980? So the way they write the history of African ball, it was like we just started playing ball in 1980, and it was Sudan that knew how to play ball before. It's crazy, but it was because Nigeria didn't play the politics of CAF, for 30 years, before all that, So anyway.
So I'm starting the campaign here, Akin, right? CAF, we're looking at you guys. Yeah?
Yeah.
He should be the unanimous African Footballer of the Year.
But you should tell the people, you should remind the people that you have a rooting interest because his family.
How does that? That doesn't matter now. That's
but we're rooting for him, and hopefully he will come on our podcast to celebrate when he wins, not if he wins. When he wins.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a good one, Aki.
Okay.
Do we have time for one more thing before we wrap up?
I think so. We've been going for an hour and 40. I mean, we could stop, or we could do this really, really juicy one that you're holding on to. But I'll let you decide.
Now let's do it next week. Let's end it early. Let's end it early for this session. So the people that are complaining that 2 hours is too long, we're gonna give you back 20 minutes of your time. Better make good use of it.
Yeah,
make good use of the 20 minutes.
The good thing though is, we do this full thing once a week, and then we chop it up in shorts and reels and segments, and
exactly.
So that way you can consume the content however works for you. For people who are obligated to do it because they're married to us or our offspring, they listen to the full 2 hours.
They listen to the full 2 hours. They listen to the full 2 hours. In fact, there's a test at the end of the 2 hours to check that they listen to the full 2 hours.
All right. Inka, do you have a donkey of the week, or are you too happy and excited from the North London Derby that you didn't do one?
There's someone I wasn't too happy with, but at the same time, I'm happy with him because I'm happy he didn't do well, which is your friend, Mr. Ange Postecoglou.
Oh.
Angelo
Postecoglou. Oh my God!
He after the game he came out and he was like, we dominated play. Okay, and he said some other stuff and he said, I always win in my second year. I'm like, sorry, what did you say?
That I always win
in my second year. Okay, I'm like, even if that is the case, young man, you don't say that out loud, right? Because if you then don't win, people will just go and clip that particular page and say, you said you win you win every time in your second year. And I don't think Spurs are winning anything this year.
Okay, this is, I think the kids will say you're believing your own press clippings. And you probably should not do that. Right. He's lucky though that, he's managing the other club in North London. So they'll give him all kinds of rope. They never criticize their managers, because Daniel Levy always takes the blame, No,
but the things are changing now. There's a popular Spurs fan expressions.
I know expressions.
In fact, get on YouTube. You'll be shocked the number of Spurs fans that are not happy with him. One guy actually came out. I can't remember this guy. Maybe Steve. He came out and he was like, "You see Arteta, doing all sorts of signs. You go this way, go that way." Andy's just there, hands in his pocket, and he's just looking. And I'm like, "There's really nothing wrong with that, There's really nothing wrong. If he's done his hard work, if he's done his work before the game, you don't really need to come out and be shouting. Do you see?" What's his name? Ancelotti shouting at the byline? No, you don't. No, you don't.
So the only thing I would say about Ange Postecoglou is if you're gonna wear a suit and tie on the sideline in 2024, you make millions of pounds a year. Invest in a designer suits, and just. That flatters you just a little bit more than,
Are you sure those are not designer? Are you sure those are not designer fits?
Then you might need some aftermarket adjustments to it. That's all I'm saying, right? Or just be like every other normal coach now, who don't wear a shirt and tie anymore. That's all I'm saying.
Just be free. Be free. The top and chinos is fair enough. You don't need to. You don't need to wear suits all over the place. So second point on Ange before we round up. This is not an Ange thing. This is a Spurs thing, frankly. I don't know why we missed them when we're ranking transfer windows. I think they had a horrible transfer window, Aki. It's now that it's just occurring to me. I don't keep track with Spurs anyway, but
that's why we missed them.
That's why we missed it. And I'm like, you bought Solanke for
65 million pounds.
You bought Archie Gray, an 18-year-old guy from Leeds, for 40 million euros. Then you got another guy from Burnley for 30 million euros. Altogether, you spent, that's over, what am I saying? That's almost 120 million pounds.
But Yinka, they have prior here. May I remind you when they sold Gareth Bale and then bought like 6 players with 109 million pounds, and none of them was good.
Six.
Remember?
You call them players. We can mention them. It was Soldado. Soldado. There was a Brazilian in there. Then Roberto
Yes,
Soldado
one
was
name,
a
one name Brazilian. I'm like, bro, you're not good enough to go by one name. Cut that stuff out. You know, what are you doing? You know.
My God.
So this
So
is not the first
they
time,
had
bro.
they had a terrible window. And to show you how terrible it was, Odobert came on. I was like, is this what y'all paid 30 million for? Great income on. I like the young boy, but that amount, are you the kind of club that you should be buying that kind of player? If you're spending that amount on a player, it should be plug and play. It should be ready to play now.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm not calling them donkey of the week, right? But
you can. You can. Let me say something before we wrap.
They've lost. So that's enough.
They've lost enough, right? So Solanke's replacement at Bournemouth, Evan Nielsen from was it Porto? I think
from Porto.
So he hasn't scored yet. Yeah, he hasn't scored.
No, he hasn't.
Yet, right? Missed the penalty kick. It was a poor penalty this weekend. But I think he's a better footballer. I'm not gonna slander Solanke. He's Nigerian. He's a striker. He's built himself up to where he is without not that much talent, if we're being honest. Yeah. Evan Nielsen is a better player than Solanke.
By far. Evan Nielsen showed us last year, Champions League.
By a ton. Right, by a ton. Again, when you have Harry Kane and you know everything Harry Kane brings to the table, and you somehow think, I just get really Dominic Solanke to replace Harry Kane. Like, come on, what are we doing? Like, it's like chalk and cheese, literally. Can he even dribble? Can he pass? I mean, all the things Harry Kane used to do, can he do them?
It is difficult to replace Harry Kane.
I know.
I'm not worried about the I'm not worried about the player. In terms of availability, it was tough enough. My point is, you paid 60 million for him.
65.
65.
Keep your powder dry.
That's my point, Akin. Exactly.
Keep your powder dry. Go again.
Again. You played honestly, the whole of last season without Kane, didn't you? Then go get wingers and let Son play.
Alvarez at 95 million would have been better.
Would have been better.
At 95 million.
Would have been better. Just to wrap up, the players that they replaced Kane with Bill, that they got for the Bill funds, I had to Google this. It was Paulinho. Paulinho was the one named Brazilian you were looking for.
Brazilian. Yeah.
Roberto Soldado.
Yeah.
Nacer Chadli.
Oh my gosh.
Etienne Capoue.
Yeah.
Vlad Kricic.
Yeah.
Eric Lamela. And Christian Eriksen. Out of those players,
I thought it was 6.
Only Lamela and Eriksen are the only two that you can say, they did something decent for Spurs. So I totally agree with you. What's his name? Levy. I was going to say Eugene Levy.
Yeah, no, that's an actor. Daniel Levy.
That's the actor. Eugene Levy. Daniel Levy, right, should have no business running that football club. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry.
I agree.
And on that note,
so yeah,
we can end today.
So I actually like Etienne Capoue. I like Etienne Capoue, but he didn't do anything for Spurs. But that's not my problem.
He didn't do nothing for Spurs.
Let's wrap.
All right, people. Once again, thank you for everything. Aki, our subscriber numbers are continuing to creep up. We're still on track for 1,000. We appreciate the support. Please tell your friends about us. Send in your questions so that we can have things to talk about. And if there's anything you need to know, it doesn't necessarily have to be footballing questions or sporting questions. It's preferable if they are, but if they aren't, trust me, we'll still answer them. Please continue to support us, like, share across all our social media platforms. And we will see you next week. Aki.
Yeah, Yinka is a man of many talents, so send him any questions and he will answer them. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. This was fun, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.